Hey guys, happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, September 12th, 2019. I am super excited to have the amazing Nina Streich with the Global Peace Film Festival on today. See if I can get all of that out properly. Let us know you can hear us or see us. You may not know this, Nina, but I did. Hey, Lisa. I did one show once where they could not hear us or see us, and they watched the show the whole time, and nobody told me. There's Boris.
Hi, Boris.
Feel better, Boris. So give me a thumbs up and a heart. Let me know you can hear me and see us. And then we're going to dive right in because I've had the best conversation with Nina the past 30 plus minutes. Hey, Allie. Allie McCarroll is on. So, he can hear us. What's up, Boris? Feel better?
Yes. Feel better,
so
Boris.
I'm very excited. So Boris, I have to give a shout out to Boris Garbe because he is one of the best connectors for the show, and he always will bring me someone, and he knows that if he says to bring you on, it's absolutely amazing. And so he is just such a big proponent of our arts community, our community in general. And so a big shout out to him.
He's an innovator as well.
He's an innovator. Yes, we're going to use that as your hashtag next time, Boris. So welcome, Nina.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I'm super excited. All right. So you know the audience, before we get to Global Peace Film Festival, the audience always loves to hear your origin story. A little bit about you, maybe your journey, and then how you got to film making, trailer. We'll talk about the trailers in that story. And then eventually we'll get to talk about how Global Peace Film Festival, I'm going to say that right, I did it.
You've done it right.
I've done it right so far.
Yeah,
came to fruition and all the great information about it. So
great.
Please tell us about you.
So I'm New York born, and I actually live in New York. I come down to Orlando to prepare for the Global Peace Film Festival and to do all the organizing work for it. When I was 9 years old, my family moved to England. So I grew up in England and was educated there through university.
I can hear it.
Yeah,
you have a little proper to your enunciation of words.
Yes, exactly. It's the enunciation. I've lost the accent. When I moved to England, I immediately lost my American accent just to conform.
Sure.
And because I was sent to Coventry till I spoke proper.
She can do it. You can have afternoon tea with her.
That's actually not a good. I can hear how bad that is because I literally survived on, I was bullied till I sounded right. Which is just what you went through. And so I had a completely English accent. When I moved back, I wanted to keep my English accent because I had to lose it for, to fit in. And then I wanted to be an individual when I came back here. And I immediately started sort of emotionally losing my accent. But after I'd been here a couple of years, people started saying, you have the only English Brooklyn accent.
I was going to ask you about that. Lucito, what's up? It's funny because, I have my team, my freedom team, my mortgage team. They're out of New York. So, I give them a hard time about coffee and law and daughter.
Toid.
It's crazy. So how did you come? So when you came back, you had to lose the British. Did you adopt? I haven't heard you once say anything that sounded like New Yorker to me.
No, I don't know. I can't answer that question. I do.
How long were you in England before you came back?
14 years.
Okay.
So I moved back when I was 23.
And what made you move?
I was not ever happy in England. I describe my 14 years there as 14 years of being cold. Because it was so cold there.
It
has changed so much. The climate, boy, you can see the climate change there so much faster than you can see it in a lot of places here. I mean, really. So anyway, I just never felt like I fit in. So I would come here, I would meet people, I'd be make best friends in seconds, and that didn't happen in England. So I just decided I wanted to come back, and I moved back to New York, which I absolutely love. And when I was in England, I always wanted to be in the film business. And
why? Were your parents in it, or did
my father was in it. My father directed commercials, and so I started out, he would let me work at his studio. They would pay me like, double my pocket money, which is English for allowance, and I would do anything that anybody needed to be done, and gradually worked my way up the ladder. And when I was about 15, I decided I was too old to work for my father, and also decided that the place that I wanted to learn about film was in a cutting room, because that's where you see the whole process come together. And so I started apprenticing for a commercials editor in my school holidays. There's an Englishism.
That's definitely an Englishism. Holiday, I'm on holiday.
Yes, they're holidays, not vacations in England. But I started working for him in my holidays, and by the time I was at university, I was able to get jobs. I studied, as they say in England, read French literature.
I read
French literature,
that.
yes. And I would go to Paris to work in post-production companies to get my French better. And
what was it about that process? Because we were talking earlier about how one of the reasons why I do Facebook Live is because I could not stand I would edit myself right out of the show.
Yes, I would too.
And so what was it about the editing that was fascinating to you? What was it about the editing process? Because that's what you did. It's more than editing.
The editing process. It's the pacing of the story. It's how you tell the story, and also you see everything. I originally wanted to be a director, and it was through being in the cutting room that I realized that directing is not what I would be good at. Not my thing. I want to produce. I describe producing as cooking. Editing is cooking as well, because you have to have the right balance of ingredients to make a tasty dish.
I love that.
And that goes for for directing, and it goes for editing. And I loved the cutting room, and because it may not look like it, but I'm very shy.
No, I can understand. I think a lot of people in film are shy, right? A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
who are in the arts, because you take on a different character, a different
Right.
role. Boris is asking you to tell the Friday the 13th story. Is this an editing story, or
This is a trailer story.
it's a trailer story? So
Yeah.
talk about trailers. So you eventually got into that, and then you can tell us about Friday the 13th.
I eventually got into cutting trailers. I sort of fell into editing very early. I was like 23 when I had a lucky break, and I worked on the trailer for Friday the 13th. I worked in a trailer company and did a lot of different major studio features. So I worked on the trailer for Friday the 13th, and it was a smash hit, of course. And
That's the original one,
the original
right?
one.
Like the
Yeah,
Jason.
number one. Yes, number one.
You hear all that.
So the trailer was, scene to the murder. The knife comes up, music sting, and then number one would slam into the camera, blood red numbers. Scene, another murder. Somebody gets shot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Friday the 13th, you may only see it once, but that will be enough. Which is a great line. So
That is a great line, actually.
So when Friday, and I hate horror films. I just do. It's never been my
So
thing.
Friday, what's up, Joe? Friday the 13th was such a quintessential movie, though. Like nothing
Right.
had been done like
Right.
that.
It was made for like $200,000. Really low budget. Paramount bought it for, I don't know, maybe $1 million or $2 million or something. And opening weekend, and this was in the early 80s, like
right?
1980,
Yeah.
I think. Its opening weekend, Paramount was already in profits, which was, a wide opening back then was like 400 screens.
Right.
So they were like thrilled to bits. So anyway, Friday the 13th, part 2, when the story Boris wants to hear, I think, is when the studio executive was coming in. I walked around the cutting room, and I'd tell my bosses 14, 15, 16, 17, and they'd go, "Don't be stupid, that's not going to be the trailer." and so the executive came in. It was actually Don LaFontaine was a Paramount executive. That's the voiceover in a world guy.
You know those voiceovers.
Yeah, but that's the guy.
I love it.
You know, there's a film, Lake Bell did a film called In a World, which is about voiceovers and a family of voiceovers, and he is like the leading voiceover of all, so he's very much featured in the film. But anyway, he came in, we had our screening, and he's saying or before the screening, he's saying 14, 15, 16. So I was right.
You knew.
But then when I put the film on the cam, which is the editing machine that we used, I would start the film. It's in reels, and the reels are about 10 minutes long. I would start the film, and then I'd go to the door and wait for the knife to come up, and I was out the door because I don't want to see that.
You didn't want to see it.
And my boss goes, "But Nina, you have to watch the film." I said, "But we can't put the bloody stuff in the film in the trailer, so I don't have to see that."
Right.
I think
I
that's
love
the
that.
story
It's
bar
kind of
choice.
like when they don't reveal the monster in the trailer, like whatever the monster
Right.
looks like. You know, you can't give too much. I mean, trailers are kind of. I think all of us would
trailers
agree.
have really changed over the years.
I usually go.
Business
I
now.
don't like to miss the trailers when I go to a movie.
I love trailers.
Me too. Me too.
You know, I always have. So making them was really so much fun.
So Lucito says, "What's up, Louis?" He says, editing to film is like mixing to music. It's just so critical because
absolutely.
if it's not put together properly, then the story doesn't feel. And sometimes you can tell. Like I've seen films where I'm like, "Wow, where did that happen?" Even TV shows.
Yeah. Bad editing can ruin a great film.
Which is why I could never edit.
Editing and
You would see, "Hi, this is Ted." I would I would literally cut myself out, and it would be all Nina. I would not know what to do. I would critique everything I did.
So anyway, yes, and you can also make you can make a decent film so much better with good editing. Editing really is such a critical part.
My opinion.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you go from trailer? So you worked on trailers.
Well,
I love that whole concept because that's what the girl did in the movie. Carmen Diaz was in the movie. It was a holiday. It was a British movie. It had Brits and the vacation or the holiday, and she was a trailer editor, and I loved that. It had Jack Black in it.
Yeah.
Hey, Carmen from Greece, Miss Auridas, what's going on? So what did you do after? So you obviously progressed.
Well, actually, while I've always had two loves. Politics was one of my loves, or not politics like election stuff. I had no interest in elections and anything, but issues. I was always, when I was 12 years old, I marched to save the whales. That kind.
You had an activist heart.
I haven't. Yes, absolutely. And so I used to make my own little films, short films about issues that I cared about, and often for organizations that I would work with. And so I described my trailer career as I would make the money doing trailers so that I could spend the money on the films, for things that I
a true
was
starving
passionate
artist.
About. And gradually the way I raised money for my films, because I could work for free because I supported myself doing that, but there were things you have to pay for, and the way I would raise money for the things I needed to pay for was by doing parties, because I didn't like writing grant proposals. And I wasn't.
I'm listening. I like the
good at
party
it.
thought process. Tell me more.
And people liked my party, so I started getting asked by the organizations to do events for them, and so I sort of fell into producing live events, and that led me eventually into electoral politics, where completely out of the blue and a surprise to me, I was I was hired to be the main staff fundraiser for New York State for the presidential campaign of Michael Dukakis.
Oh my! I see. I had no idea. That's really cool.
Yeah, and so that was many.
Was it as well? I remember that race very well.
Yeah.
Was that as crazy? What was that like though?
It was so amazing. I such a learning experience. I mean, the events you just do, but I learned I didn't have any idea about electoral politics or anything like that.
I think most people don't.
Right, and you meet everybody, and I just worked so hard, I joined the campaign when Dukakis was less than 6%, had less than 6% in the Democratic Party polls, and took the ride through his becoming the nominee and through the general election, and then the loss. Although I kind of knew that I could tell he wasn't going to win.
You know what I love about that though? That is two different paths. I mean, it feels like it, right? Because most creatives, we were talking about creatives earlier. Yeah. When you start talking about politics, that's a whole nother type of creative.
Right.
Like you really have multiple creative
but
stuff
I actually
going
see
on.
they intertwine.
Yeah.
So after Dukakis lost, one of the people I met actually I knew him before, was the then borough president of Manhattan, David Dinkins, who was running for mayor the next year. And so I was so exhausted after the presidential campaign that I didn't want to take the job that was offered to me to be his head fundraiser. But one of my assistants was African American, a wonderful woman, and I recommended her for the job, and she got it. But she had not done the big events, and I said, well, I will, as a volunteer, coordinate the big events.
Love that.
If I can get an assurance that if Dinkins wins, that I can be one of the coordinators of his inauguration, which happened, and I did.
See, isn't that cool?
And that was really amazing too.
That's awesome, because that is a whole bunch of moving parts.
That is a whole bunch of moving parts, and then there was one job in the administration that I wanted, which was to be the deputy film commissioner. And I got that job.
Nice. See, I did not. That's so cool. What does the deputy film commissioner do?
Well, the film commission, the job of the film commission is to promote the production, promote production in the city. The actual agency that I worked for, the name of it was the Mayor's Office of Film, Theater, and Broadcasting, because, of course, New York City, Broadway.
Well, you wanted it in there, so you're basically so movie producers really need to, or TV or whatever it is, need to go through you to make sure the setup is proper to get the tax credits, or is this different permits?
Well, Dinkins was mayor from 1990 through the end of 1993, and this was way before tax credits. We could only wish for tax credits, which only exist. Canada was offering tax credits, and people were fleeing to Canada. Right. But we could only dream about a day that tax credits would be even doable in south of the border. And so, one of the things that I would do, I did, New York City had a sort of penalty from Albany about tax on hotel
There's your
rooms.
you got some New York right there, Albany.
Ah,
you got
yes.
it, Albany.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did Albany.
Albany, okay.
Albany, very good. We were talking about accent now. British, she grew up there and she had her English accent.
That's an English. That's
Albany. Coffee. No, I love it.
So anyway, there's 5% more taxes on state tax on hotel rooms that cost over $100. So I would go around to the hotels and say, okay, for your crew rooms, if the rate was $115 or $120, $125, I'd say drop your rate to $99 for the crew rooms, and you're giving them the crews an additional savings of $5. That was my own way of sort of doing tax credits.
You did it. So is that how you got into?
Some hotels did it. Some, many hotels didn't.
Is that how you got into global? How did you get to?
We're a long way from global peace, but I'm going to jump quickly because I know we have to move on. So I love that job in the film commission. And the other thing, you do the permitting and you do the logistics. So you have to work out how to close different things like bridges and tunnels and streets and Times Square.
Yeah, right. You have to close down when they shoot in the city. I think people don't realize there's this whole production that has to go into that. You've got to get permission and permits. And so when you see, like, I'm a big Law and Order SVU fan, because it's on every day.
We worked on the first 3 seasons of Law and Order was when I was in the mayor's office.
And that's what, so when they shut that, when they're filming those scenes in New York.
Well, actually, shutdowns are not as extensive as you would imagine, because first of all, the police really understand how to manage traffic.
Right.
And you very rarely have to really shut things down. I mean, for stunts, for, big things, yes, but for just a street scene, with traffic, you have a red light, then you have a green light, then you have a red light, and the length of time will be about 4.5 minutes. And no scene, you can do, once you're ready to roll, you can call action and call cut, and you've only held traffic for
You guys
one
have to be ready for it, though.
But that's the job of the crew, because, and New York has amazing crews. Orlando has some amazing, has some really good people, but because of the lack of tax incentive here, so much of the business has been lost.
Look who popped on.
Hello, Michelle.
Michelle, we were talking about you earlier.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about why you're here, which
Yes.
is the Global Peace Film Festival.
Yes.
Because I don't know, we were talking about it earlier.
So here's the quick jump. So when I left the mayor's office, I fell into film festivals, and in mid-2003, somebody approached me, a friend of mine said, there's this guy who wants to do a Global Peace Film Festival, and I told him it's a crazy idea, but if you really want to do it, I know the person for you. And so my friend asked me if he could send my resume, and I was hired by this person who is a devout Muslim and a conservative Republican who had business interests in Orlando at the time.
Interesting.
And so he didn't know that he'd hired he knew I was a progressive Democrat, but he didn't know I was Jewish when he hired me. And we would always both say about each other that far more different among us is the fact that he's a Republican and I'm a Democrat, but working together was what peace is all about.
Correct.
And when
I
I was
love that. That's
I was
awesome.
hired to do it, rather than the motivation was the Iraq War that had just started, and rather than doing a film that was sort of about the war, I wanted to be more forward-looking and create something that was about what peace looks like, and use film as a motivating factor for people to do good things in the world.
I love that.
That's the origin story of the festival.
The festival itself starts next week, correct?
Yes, Monday.
All right, but what I want to talk about, so the films are, and again, no research, the films are about, this is not propaganda for the negativity. This is about the peace process, global peace. How can you not have the focus be on trying to create that?
We try to, we look for really diverse films. One of the things that excites me is when people look at our program and say, oh, I wouldn't have thought you would do this or that or whatever, because peace is all around us. We just have to look for how do we find it, how do we define it, and everybody will define it differently. And so we have 38 films in the live festival. We also have an online festival that anybody can watch even if they're not in Orlando. It's available during the week of the festival. It's available 24/7 on our website, which is peacefilmfest.org, and basically there's a lot of films on the environment. There's films about people's journeys, but we look for things that are inspiring, that have a positive vision, as opposed to, oh, everything's awful.
Well, we're dealing in a world of that, right? That we were talking about earlier. We're dealing in a world of the naysayers, the negativity, and so how awesome it is to have your focus is more about the positive and the light in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Is it difficult to find filmmakers and films that want to focus on the positive, or is it an easy thing?
Because a lot of the films, we look for films that the filmmakers want to achieve something from making the film, not just having people see their films. There are people who want to. There's a film in the festival called Community First, for instance, which is about a community of homeless people in Austin, Texas, and how how this community has come up. It's a trailer park kind of thing, and it's a way to get homeless people off the street. The person who made the film, who will be with us in person for the screening, his previous film, which we also had in the festival, was about an arts program in Austin, Texas, where the homeless people were given materials and given the opportunity to paint what they wanted to paint, and then put in an exhibit where people would buy their work so that they actually had money to hopefully help them get a place to live.
I love that.
So that's the kind of positive, inspirational film we look for, that has what's called an impact campaign, so that they want to, the people in Austin want to spread the word about this program, that it could be replicated in other places and actually help do something. We have a local film, we have several local films, but one of them is, it's really only a 2-minute film, but it's about picking up trash.
Positive though, like Michelle just said, the festival is a refreshing escape from the negativity in our daily lives and learning about what positivity is happening.
And don't get me wrong, there are films that are not terribly positive. I mean, we've had films about genocide, about the Holocaust. I mean, often in this festival we have a film about a Holocaust survivor. It is actually a lovely film that's not about the Holocaust. It does sort of give his background.
Right.
So there are things, and I've often encountered people who've come to a film that I thought was incredibly uplifting, and they're like, "Oh, that was depressing," because they're in a war setting. And
so isn't it fascinating people's perspective, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Their perspective
People have
things.
Very different perspectives when they come.
Which is the
things.
cool thing about film, right? Because everybody's going to take away from where they're from, what they're, there's all this stuff that when we go into a film or a show or anything, and you watch it, all of your baggage, for lack of a better word, all of your thought processes are going into how you perceive the film.
Right.
And I love though the fact that do you cry? Like I feel like I would cry every time I saw a film.
Everything.
I was gonna say I would just as you were talking about the film with the two homeless films, I'm thinking, oh my God, I would literally lose it. But do you screen them all personally? Do you have a committee that does that?
Actually, there's an artistic director for the festival, and she sees everything. Not everybody sees everything, and I don't see everything before we program it. When we come to making our decisions, one of the things that I do throughout the year, I come down here multiple times from my home in New York, and I keep my ear to the ground. What's going on here? What are these organizations who we've partnered with in the past? What are they working with? What are the important issues? And then we try to make our programming relevant to this location. If I did a Global Peace Film Festival in New York City, some of the films we'd probably program, but most of them would be completely different.
I love that. All right, so give us the details. Give us the 411 on how people can view what the website again, where they can go watch the films, when the kickoff is.
Okay, so the festival starts next Monday, September 16th, runs through the 22nd. We're more than just a film festival. We have art exhibits as well, and other events, which I'll quickly list. So on Monday at 5:30, there's the opening of a kindergarten through 12th grade peace art exhibit that we do through the Orange County Public Schools.
I love that.
And oh my God, you have to see the work. It's just so beautiful. The kids are so talented.
I would cry again.
You have to come and cry. It makes me cry.
I love it.
Tuesday night, our opening night film is at Enzian Theater. And you can get tickets online or on Facebook. There's a Facebook event that you can find. There's a party afterwards at the Eden Bar. On Wednesday through Sunday, the film program runs at Rollins College and the Winter Park Library, our main venues. There will be 3 films 3 different films to choose from, Thursday and Friday, and then at the same time, because there's 3 different venues. On Saturday morning, Friday night, Friday from 6 to 8 p.m., there's a shopping party at 10,000 Villages and the Spice and Tea Exchange on Park Avenue, nice. where a percentage of anything that people buy, early cool. Christmas shopping, goes to support the festival. And those are 2 wonderful stores that I highly, if you haven't been, they're on Park Avenue near awesome. Canton, and they're awesome. Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon, there's something called Peace Day in the Park, which is a partnership with the Peace and Justice Institute at Valencia College. They're really doing the organizing of it. And it's in Central Park, Winter Park, it's free, open to the public, with activities for kids, with music, with all kinds of things. And towards the end, like 11:30, they're going to start to gather everybody to create a giant human peace sign in Central Park.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
And photograph it from above.
That's cool.
So that's kind of awesome. And then, let's see, what am I forgetting?
Sunday. What is there a finale?
The finale is at the Bronze Kingdom in Fashion Square.
Beautiful place.
If you haven't been, place. Oh my God, you really.
I want to have them come on the show.
Oh, you should.
I want to do a show there.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you definitely.
Yeah,
you
it's
should.
Beautiful there.
And the closing night film is called The Remix Hip Hop X Fashion. So
I saw that in here.
Yeah.
It's
so
very cool.
again, that's one of the films that you actually, when Kelly, the artistic director, and I saw that film at the Tribeca Film Festival. We went to see it not for the festival, but because a friend of ours is one of the producers and writers, and we went to support him. And halfway through the film, we turned to each other and go, this would be really good for the festival. So awesome. we're thrilled that Lisa Cortez, the director, was excited about having it down here.
That's so cool.
So that is at 7:30 on Sunday night, September 22nd, and that is the final film of the festival.
I love it. All right, so it's peacefilmfest.org.
Yes.
There's also, which I tagged, Global Peace Film Festival Facebook page.
Yes, which is Peace Film Fest. If you go, at Peace Film Fest, same with Twitter and Instagram.
And you just have to click on the link. I try to make it easy for you guys.
Excellent.
All right, so please go and attend. How can you not
Yes.
want to be at events like this? The reason I try to promote them on the show is because there's so many people that are out that are not inside the arts community that they don't know about the cool things that are going on in Orlando. And this is one of the cool things. This is I love their, you can tell it's Jimi Hendrix, the booklet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what I missed. There's at City Arts on Pine and Magnolia, there is an exhibit of Jimi Hendrix artwork that opens on Thursday, September 19th. During Third Thursday, it will be the opening reception, and then the exhibit will stay there through early mid-October.
So cool.
Yeah, and you have to go to that.
I'm definitely.
Yes.
Next week is a good week for me. So.
Oh, excellent.
All right. So again, we're going to share all of Nina's contact information, how you can reach out to her. We'll share the links again to the website and to the Facebook page. You want to go out and be part of this. It's amazing what you guys have put together. And don't we want a little bit of positivity in our worlds? I know I do. All right, so we talked earlier about, you and I did off camera, about mentorship. It's a big, big push that we're doing with the TED Show and TED's community. And I love to bring on guests who obviously have done much in their lives and talk about a mentor or two that impacted you, that was important to you or important to your journey. So if you can share with us, I would appreciate it.
The first mentor, I met him when I was about 12 years old, and he's a man named Millard Lampel. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He was a writer. He was a member of the folk music group, the Almanac Singers, with Woody Guthrie, Lee Hayes, and Pete Seeger. He's an amazing, amazing guy, and he is the person who inspired me. My mother, when I was little, said that, from the first time I saw a screen, I was glued to it. And Millard was the first person who told me that I could use my love of film and wanting to use film and or be in film, that I could use it for social good. That
awesome.
So that was him. Then I mentioned Don LaFontaine, the famous voiceover. He was an executive at Paramount, and he really helped my career as an editor. He was incredibly encouraging to me, sort of almost going around the backs of my bosses at the time, to sort of help me.
That's
and
awesome.
He was wonderful. But then I was also saying to you that I think it's really important to be a mentor as well. And the most rewarding part of, one of the most rewarding things that I do is I've had people come up to me that I didn't know I played that role in their lives, and like I just reconnected with somebody who I hadn't seen for maybe 15 years, who told me that I had really been a mentor to her, and I had no idea, and that was just so rewarding.
It's powerful, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't realize, if you have the mentor spirit, right? I think we have to create that.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you're not mentoring someone, let's talk. I mean, reach out to me, because I believe that we all have a mentor in us.
Everybody has that capacity.
And we just
absolutely.
have to do more of it. And then I was telling Nina before we closed that I had somebody that freaked out when I brought that up, and they said, well, nobody's ever helped me in my life. And I was like, okay, sweetie, before we go live, we're going to have to talk through this.
Yeah.
Because you have to give credit to that. And if you aren't giving credit to that spirit, then you're probably not mentoring anyone else. So we want to get you in that mindset.
Because also, you learn as much from from your mentees as you teach them.
Absolutely, you do. All right. Nina Streich Global Peace Film Festival starts Monday, the 16th, runs through the 22nd. We're going to, again, share everything on there. Love you, Jennifer Foster. You're awesome.
Hi, Jennifer.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
You have been a joy to have on the show.
It's been so much
wonderful.
fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Boris, for the intro. Go out. These are the great things that we have in our city. And in our area, you should go out and go to some of the films. It's not as we almost finished. It's not intimidating. If you're intimidated at all, reach out to me, reach out to Nina, reach out to Boris, anybody who's involved. Go and see these films. Go support these artists, and then obviously go support global peace, because that's what we're talking about. We love you guys.
Ted.
Thank you so much, Nina. We'll see you back here soon. Mwah. See you soon.